chapter 3, verses 12 and 15 says, now if anyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become clear, for the day will declare it, because it will be revealed by fire. And the fire will test each one's work of what sort it is. Meaning that you're going to stand before the Lord, and whatever it is, you have to put it on the fire. And if it passes the fire, then that means it's good work. But hay and wood and precious stones and all that ain't gonna pass. You know, you can put all your diamonds on the fire won't consume them and burn them up. Because some of us at one time in our lives, to show you how shallow we were. At one time in our lives, we thought we had made it because we had that watch on our wrist. We thought that we had made it because we were driving a certain kind of car. But you put that car on the fire, it's gonna blow up. But you put your salvation on the fire. It says, if anyone's work which he has built on it endures, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burnt, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. See, that person you touched, that person you went out of your way to let them know how much you loved them, how much you cared about them, that ain't gonna burn up. But that stuff that you do in order to be praised by man will indeed burn up. So the question arises, how do we lay up treasure in heaven? You're telling us to lay up treasure in heaven. How do we lay up treasure in heaven? The answer is by living the way God has asked us to live and following after Him in all that we do. So how do we do that? We love our neighbor as ourselves. If a man asks you for a shirt and you have extra, you give him one. Not only that, but you be a cheerful giver. You honor God in your marriage. You guard your mind against adulterous thoughts. You share the good news of the gospel with those around you. And in the final statement, verse 21, Jesus goes back to the heart. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. That's what Jesus said, you should have no other gods before me. Meaning that if any one of you are putting something else before God, you are committing spiritual idolatry. And God is not pleased. Secondly, we're almost done. How is your vision? Ask your neighbor, how's your vision? Look at that latter part in verses 22 and 23 of our text, Matthew 6. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Gathering of riches here on earth blurs our vision. It causes us not to see the true will of God correctly. It distorts our vision, causing us not to see God as clearly as maybe we once did. You remember the story of Ananias and Sapphira in Acts chapter 5, verse 1 and 11. Back then in the community church, everybody sold everything they had. Other people were doing it. It never said that it was mandatory, but folks were doing it. These people saw other people doing it, get the praise of the church. They thought they were going to be able to do it and get praise of the church. But then somewhere along the line, they thought that they needed to keep some of their own stuff. Acts chapter 4, verse 34 and 35. Nor was there anyone among them who lacked, for all who were possessors of land or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of the things that were sold and laid them at the apostles' feet, and they distributed to each as anyone had need. Then the Ananias and Sapphira, they brought their money to the apostles and they lied. Saying they had brought all the money they had made from selling this possession. But in fact, they kept some back for themselves. Peter accuses Ananias of lying to God, and at that moment, Ananias falls to his death. The same thing happens to his wife, who also lied to God. They got distorted. They looking at the wrong thing. Some of us, we need to repent now because during Christmas we got distorted. We took God's tithes and bought presents. Amen, Lord. Bought presents for folks who didn't even take anything. Took God's money and did other things with it. And God's saying that, stop lying. Your vision is wrong because you're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking with the wrong eye. Even the rich fool Some of us are being blessed. And let me tell you this, God is not going to bless you if you show him he can't go through you. Some of our blessings that God has given us is really ain't for us. It's for somebody else. I wonder if I had an envelope, and I know this wouldn't happen in the church, since it's there because we're all in here sanctified, filled with the Spirit of God. I wonder if I had an envelope for years with $10,000 in an envelope with small unmarked bills. Start off in this corner, saying just pass it around until I say stop. And whoever hands it in when I say stop gets the $10. And we just pass it from hand to hand. I wonder how much will be in it. But I know it'll be 10,000 because we all in here saved and sanctified and filled with the Spirit of God. And I know we ain't worried about the fact that we got bills that need to be paid and we ain't got the money for it. And somebody be justified enough to say, you know what, God just trying to bless me. Red meant to say stop on me, but he didn't say stop on. And I forgot to tell y'all that the envelope will be unsealed. Amen. I hear somebody say, oh Lord, yeah, oh Lord. How much will be taken out of it? How? Because see, some of us, our vision is messed up because we're not looking at the cross. See, my brothers and my sisters, when I look at the cross, I know if God can supply my salvation, then God can supply anything that I need. If God can fix it so that a wretched like me can be saved, then that means to me, my brothers and my sisters, no matter what I go through, God can provide. It says the eye that's full of light. The eye that's full of light is the eye that can see and have faith in the eternal promises of God. See, we may not be able to see the physical manifestation of those things, but we believe by faith in the truth that one day we will be like Christ. But when we focus on earthly and temporal things, our sight is blurred and messed up. And I remember a time, maybe for 2 days, I had something in my eye that hurt continually and made my eye water. I couldn't open it. It was very sensitive to light, and it was a distraction from truly seeing what was going on. And it's the same thing when our treasure on earth is in our focus. It distracts us from what's really going on. When Abraham was called to bring Isaac, by faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac because he saw eternity. He said, you know what? God promised me a seed. So God in the reproduction business, I know that if God promised me a seed, he's going to give me what? A seed. Have you ever tried on someone else's eyeglasses? Have you noticed how it affects your vision? If the eye of our heart and mind is focused on earthly treasure, our vision will be blurred and distorted, and we will not be able to rightly distinguish God's will for our life. Or we may not be able to see God as clearly as we once did. That's what it says in Matthew.